Welcome back to Gibbo MMA, and UFC Vegas 108 has just concluded. Tatsu Taira gets the win, round 2 submission over Hunsong Park. And first instant thoughts reaction was Hunsong Park. He just did not show up. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I'm very bullish on him. I was saying he's going to be the first South Korean champion in the UFC. And man, I guess disappointed could be the word, but maybe I was just really wrong. Maybe my hype on him was just completely off. He was 10-0 coming into this, and Tatsudo Taira just made him look like he deserves to go back to the regional scene. Was this just a case of Taira being just way above his level? Yes, Taira is ranked 6, Park unranked. Yeah, that was initially while watching the fight, my thoughts like, oh, what have I? Because in the preview, I said Park, via split decision, or he could get that knockout, and I couldn't have been further from the truth. But yeah, UFC Vegas 108 had its had great moments, had definitely some lulls as far as yeah, it was a pretty long event as usual. These Apex cards they kind of drag on a bit just because of the atmosphere, and yeah, I wasn't too surprised at all by that. I figured out, well, not figured out, but I find the experience a lot easier to get through if you have UFC Fight Pass. I use that to stream the events, the fight nights, and as well as the prelims and early prelims of the UFC. And because over here in Australia we have KO Sports, which a lot of people watch it on. But with KO, you get ads during the rounds, and just you just get spammed with NBA, NFL, the same ads every single day that they run. WNBA, NHL, just absolute carnage, and it just it sucks the life out of you having to re-watch those ads all the time, especially during the rounds. Like I love watching in between rounds what the coaches are saying, what the cuts are looking like, what the damage is looking like. And watching it on UFC Fight Pass, you don't get that. And I've noticed too, as well, without not having all the ads, it just makes the experience a lot better. And what I did for this card, I actually waited later on. I probably gave it almost an hour after the first fight started and not watch it live, not watch the prelims live essentially. That way I could just go on the phone, didn't go on social media, just locked in, and I could just watch the fight, skip through all the filler stuff, build up for the next fight, the walkouts, and just keep skipping through and just watch the fights and not have to like watch all the broadcast gibberish. And because I already know like what I'm gonna get here, and like I don't need all the broadcast talk. I don't need to watch all that stuff. It's just more information to take in, and I'm already trying to take. You've already got a lot to take in with the fights, so to just free up space in the brain, it definitely helped with this card. And yeah, recording this, like I just don't feel as burnt out, or after an event, don't feel as burnt out, because it's a lot to process, breaking down or reviewing it and stuff, and yeah, and then to load it on and to give you guys my take, yeah, it's definitely a lot more refreshing than just like getting your brain just spammed with ads and just gibberish and all that. So yeah, if you have UFC Fight Pass, it's like $10-12 a month. Definitely get it if you watch UFC on a frequent basis, because you can just go back and watch the fights. If you can't if you can't watch it live, you can just go back and just watch the fights you want. Or what I'm probably going to do more is start it an hour later, particularly if it's a bit of an apexy card, and just skip through to the fights you want to watch. Not I just skip through, and you can just end all of the walkouts and all the broadcast shit, and you can just zone in and watch the fights. And then once it gets to the main card, you can just watch it live from there. And you honestly see the difference of like how much time, is taken away from you watching these events. Like the first fight started at 8:15 a.m. in Australia here on the East Coast, 8:15 a.m. and the fights didn't finish until 2 p.m. Like that's pretty much 3/4 of your day just gone, almost fully gone, just from watching 12 fights or whatever it was. So I at least got to save a bit of time and use that other time to do other stuff by being able to just watch the fights and then skip through. So yeah, definitely get Fight Pass if you have it. But that was a random rant about that, but that was my experience today and it was a lot better. So for you guys, definitely try that. But yeah, first fight, main event, as I quickly went on, Tatsu Taira, he initially was supposed to fight Amir Albazi. He pulled out, so they bring in Park, who was scheduled to fight next week against Steve Erceg. And yeah, Tatsu Taira ranked number 6, and he fought like a ranked number 6 flyweight, and he dropped him in the first round. He hit him with the overhand right and went, "Oh, that." He didn't like that and didn't have any answers for it. And then he just instantly hit him again with the right hand and dropped Park. And yeah, it was super, like, Park would just look stuck in the mud, just non-reactive, wasn't seeing anything, and got dropped in the first minute or so of the fight. And yeah, my heart sunk. I was like, oh boy. And yeah, Tatsu Taira gets the back. We know his back control is insane, up there with Aljamain Sterling, I'd say, as far as that dominance. And they're nice and dry round 1, and he just stuck to him like glue. Park did well to fight off the submissions, and Tatsu Taira ends up with the first round win. And then we get on to the round 2, exact same thing. Taira was just way too quick, attempts his takedown, and Park just went down like a sack of potatoes, double leg, and got to the back. Again, still dry at this point, and then eventually worked. They announced it was a neck crank. Yeah, he just bullied him into that submission, and wow, like is this a case of Tatsu Taira just coming off that loss from Royval, just 10x'd and leveled up from that loss and learnt a lot, and then coming into this fight, versing a guy who hasn't fought that caliber of fighters, just made light work of Park, and that's kind of what it looked like. I think Park was supposed to fight Steve Erceg, more of a striker. Can mix it up a bit, but not necessarily, he wasn't going in there versing a guy that's going to go for his back. And I think that's maybe what caught him off guard with the overhand rights that knocked him down, because he had nothing for it, no reaction. Like, he got hit with it, and then instantly Taira just went, well, he didn't counter me, he didn't react or dodge it, slip it, and he just went straight back to it and knocked him down. So yeah, I guess we just got to give the flowers to that amazing performance to Tatsu Taira. Hun Yong Park, I think it was a big step up for him. I thought he's super well rounded, and he just looks super off. Like, yeah, it just I've never seen him in that look like that before. Going back and watching his other fights, it'd be interesting to see if anything's said afterwards. Maybe a fight getting pushed forward a week ahead than he was scheduled to fight. The weight cut, if it was dialed in properly, change of opponent, main event, nerves, all that can come into it. But yeah, Tatsu Taira, I heard, he called out for a title shot next, and it was a bit awkward with Michael Bisping. So I don't think you can get a title shot after beating an unranked opponent, but it's a flyweight division. So let me know what you think happens next for Tatsu Taira, if you think he gets a title shot or he should fight, just rebook Amir Albazi. I think so, just rebook it. I think that's a good matchup for him, and then winner of that gets a title shot. So now, and what was I'll get into actually. I'll get back. I was going to talk about the judging, whether the first round should be a 10-8 or not. I'll circle back to that. Now we move on to the co-main event, and I'll also wrap this into the third last fight of the night. So Matush Rebecki versus Chris Duncan ends in a 3-round barn burner, absolute dogfight brawl. The visual damage you could see on both guys, especially Rebecki, was insane. Like I was like, ugh, geez, just ugh. I posted a TikTok of my instant reaction, and it had Rebecki just a bit bloodied, and they sort of banned it. They didn't push the content; they banned it for like for the just because of the bloody photo. I appealed it, see what happens. But that's how bad this fight was. Bloody TikTok saw a bit of blood, and I forgot what the term is, shadow banned or whatever the post. But yeah, Chris Duncan gets 29-28, 30-27 win over Rebecki. I agree with it. 29-28. Duncan, one judge gave him all 3 rounds. And yeah, they get fight of the night. How could you not? And my bonus is guessing this fight was going to be the fight of the night. So in the preview, I guess what the bonuses will be, and I had this being fight of the night without a doubt. And the fight before that, Ribovic and Brenner was um, also got given fight of the night, because how could you not? Because initially they didn't for the usually they do 2 performances of the night and 1 fight of the night. So there are other people that probably could have got a performance of the night, but because Ribovic and then Rebecki, those 2 fights were just like insane fights, it's like you can't not give those guys bonuses. So those 2 fights get fight of the night. And last time we saw this, I believe, was UFC 236 in Atlanta, Adesanya Gastelum and Holloway Poya. They both got fight of the night bonuses, so that possibly could be the last time, which was in 2019. So 6 years hiatus since the fight of the night dual bonus. And yeah, completely agree with it. There were some good performances in this card, but yeah, when you got two fights like that, it just trumps it. And Rebecca and Duncan could be fight of the year. Could be fight of the year. Definitely top 5 contention. Now, these guys, Rebecca and Chris Duncan. Duncan from Scotland, Rebecca from Poland. Train at AT&T. They live in the same dorm there where they do their camps. Small world. So apparently, like they're in the same dorm, wall to wall, and then they got to fight each other. So super small world. They didn't train together. They got different training partners. And Duncan, super underrated lightweight. I think he's only lost 1 fight in the UFC. Let me just get up his record, but super underrated. He moves to 14-2, and he's 5-1 in the UFC now. His only loss is submission to Manuel Torres. But yeah, he's one to look out for. He is on the rise. Chris Duncan, very tough guy from Scotland, and in the first round he did like a sneaky little elbows when they came in the exchanges, and with that sneaky up elbow, he cut like a 3 to 4 inch cut over Rebecki, and then there was also another one, and Rebecki had on the top right of his forehead just a balloon of swelling. So the damage in this fight was insane, and like my instant, what words I'd give this is fuck me, cunt, and holy shit. Like, just if you want to have 15 minutes of just pure violence, enjoyment, and just see like what this sport is really about, and if you want to be a fighter, go watch that. That'll entertain you and give you a reality check of what these guys do. And how could you not give them bonuses? You know, 50K bonus, they should be getting 100K. Like, just the damage you take, and you know that takes years, whatever, off your life, and you know you got to recover from that. But the big thing was in round two, Rebecki's eye started swelling up and ended up swelling shut, and you could see the referee watching him really closely going into the stool at the end of round two. The doctor gave it the all clear. I honestly thought they were going to maybe stop it, but Rebecki was still all there. Like, it was just the swelling, but like he was fine. It was just that swelling was, you know, controversial if they caught it, but you got to put the fighter first. But the doctor was like, nah, all good. Like, his eye shot. Like, you know, if you go 1, 2, 3, he's going 5. Like, he couldn't see out of that eye. But they kept the fight going, and that's why we get fight of the night here. So you could say not necessarily common sense, but you know, thanks to the doctor, because some doctors just would have gone, nah, like it's swollen, you can't fight. And you know, Rebecki would have protested in his own right. So it'll be interesting to see how the aftermath of that is for his eye. But it's so he's fighting round three with one eye essentially. Swollen shut, but just kept firing away. Like, these guys were throwing the kitchen sink at each other. Super tough. Like, no one even got dropped. Like, it was, these guys are so tough. And yeah, Dominic Cruz was very thankful. He mentioned, you know, thanks for letting this fight go on, because, you know, these guys potentially might not have got a bonus if they couldn't fight out that third round. So yeah, crazy fight. And then we move on to another, you know, to the other fight of the night. Um, it was, yeah, Elvis Brenner versus Esteban Ribovic. I thought Ribovic was going to get a performance bonus in my preview. He still ends up with the bonus in the fight of the night. Ribovic was just like, let's just go heavy boxing, was just throwing, again, the kitchen sink at this guy. Just hooks on hooks, power overhand rights. I think this will now be Ribovic's third fight of the night in a row. So he's racking up some bonus money. That's what it's about, prize fighting. Get in there, put on sick fights, and get paid. Yep, so you got Zelhuba, as we know, fight of the night. Nasrat, fight of the night. So he's got 3 fight of the nights in a row. Esteban Ribovic, the Argentinian. And he's a must-watch fight. I said that in the preview. I said tune in for this fight, for the last 3 fights. Tune in, start watching from the Ribovic fight, because you're gonna like not be let down at all. Because the last 3 fights were, you really got your time, and yeah, whatever, your money's worth. You didn't have to pay for it. I mean, you still have to pay for the streaming service. So yeah, you didn't waste your time watching these 3 fights. And yeah, Ribovic versus Brenner. Brenner, he has to be studied. Like, his durability and chin, like, I don't know how he didn't get dropped. It was, you know, hats off to him. Takes 2 to tango. Like, if he had just got dropped, that wouldn't be like, or just just completely flatlined in there. He doesn't walk away with a fight of the night bonus. I think Ribovic walks away with just the performance of the night. But at the start, it was a little bit of grappling, and then for like 30 seconds, and then from there on out, it's just straight boxing with with a few kicks involved. I would like to see Ribovic mix it up a lot more, because yeah, the whole fight was just volume, a lot of volume exchanges. Ribovic throwing a lot of power punches, and he's very much take one. He'll take one to get one. He's willing, like, he's got a strong chin, but he'll take one to get to land one of his own. And his coaches in the round two, he said, you know, go the body, which he ended up doing. But I feel like if he had done that from the first round, he could have got Brenner out of there. And I think going back to the drawing board, they're gonna hopefully, I'd be saying, I hope the coaches are saying, got to mix it up more with the strikes, not just 2s and 3s, not just hooks and hooks and uppercuts and straight right, left hands. He's going to be going to the body more, I think, and throwing a lot more kicks, just up kicks, pepper that body because it's right there. Like he's in the range. Throw some knees in there because if he starts mixing up those strikes a lot better, he's going to be getting his opponents out within 2 rounds easy. He's not going to be having these 3 round, fun fights for us. But I feel like, sorry, just kangaroo just went by. I feel like he's getting these fight of the nights just because of that style, but he lost one of them because he's not mixing it up. He can get these guys out. He can get them out of there within 2 rounds, save him damage, save him, that output, and he can heal quick, back into the gym and move on to the next fight. So yeah, very much one to watch. Ribovic, 3 fight of the nights in the row, and yeah, great fight. And to say, not to say, but the one thing that pisses me off about this card and about the Apex is you have these guys in there put on these fights and it's in front of 50 people, 100 people, I think it holds the Apex. Like this should be in front of the crowd. Imagine if those fights were in a crowd. Like they deserve that glory, that attention, that atmosphere while they're fighting. And it's a disgrace that they have to fight in the Apex. I just can't believe I just can't believe Ribovic, after already having 2 fight of the nights in the row, gets rewarded with another Apex fight and gets fight of the night again. And it's like, why do you keep putting him in the Apex? Get this guy in a 20,000 seat arena and he will blow the roof off. I just can't believe he gets, he just keeps getting booked in the Apex. And that goes for Matusz Rebecki. Again, another guy who gets fight of the nights, who literally, regardless if he wins or loses, he's putting his life on the line. He's putting it out there. He's exciting. He's putting damage on the guys, but he's also receiving it. He's durable, and he's also got fight of the night as well. And the fact that these guys had to do it in the Apex is just a disgrace. And again, the UFC do a lot of great things, but this right here is a simple adjustment to make and is kind of just piss poor, disgraceful. They're putting stupid fights in 15 to 20,000 seat arenas that get no, that do nothing for you. Like last week, last week when they were in Abu Dhabi, I forgot their names because it was such a boring fight. I spent a bit of time on it, but it was just absolute lackluster. And it's like, how did these guys get the fight in front of a crowd like this in Abu Dhabi and do absolutely nothing? It made sparring look like an absolute war, how shit their fight was. I forgot the 2 names of the guys. I think they were middleweights. And then you get the Ribovic and Brenner, Rebecki and Duncan put on an absolute war in front of the Apex crowd. Like you could hear the Apex because there's like 50 people in there and just kind of echoes, and it's kind of like, ugh, watching it from a viewer's perspective, it's just shouting in a hallway. And yeah, I think it's just pretty disgraceful. And just like, if that's in a crowd, it just boosts it even more, the fights, and looking back on it. Whereas like, it's just like, yep, another absolute war in the Apex, and these guys just deserve a lot more, deserve to get paid a lot more. And yeah, pretty piss poor from the UFC to have these, especially those 2 fights in the Apex. But we move on to the only 2 ranked opponents together with the bantamweights. Not going to spend too much time on the rest of the card. Like I said, the last 3 fights is what I was keen for, what you guys should just tune in for. The rest of the card, was fun, but had some good performances, but nothing too much on the line. Carol Rosa versus Nora Cornell. It was a good fight. Like Rosa, they stood in the first round, and that's where Cornell had success. Muay Thai fighter, I believe. But then after that, 2 and 3, Rosa just was like, nah, we're going to the ground. Black belt jiu-jitsu, great control. Great fight IQ to do that, or and to execute it, as well as the coaches. I assume they just told her to do that, and easy path to victory. Just had her on her back for the rounds 2 and 3, and yeah, that was that. So great performance. I like to see people execute a game plan where there's a clear path to victory, and that's what Rosa did. And then Magny versus Dos Santos. Yeah, Magny moves to like second all-time UFC wins behind Jim Miller. So well done to him. Age appropriate matchmaking. Both guys are they're 38, 37. Neil Magny, first round, it was just a sort of a grappling fest. Magny's just was defending a lot, and then round 2, he caught him with a great knee on Santos, and then eventually gets to the TKO over him. So yeah, that was a fun fight. But yeah, unranked, nothing too big on the line. And then after that, we move down. Danny Silva versus Kevin Vallejos. Just a good 3-round featherweight bout. Vallejos gets the win. Just a lot of good old-fashioned dogfight, but no big power punches. Just a lot of volume on that fight. So that's the main card. Honestly, they could have. I feel like UFC cards they could scrap about 4 fights. Like you just have 4 fights on the prelims, 4 on the main card for these Apex cards. Like not. Yeah, how many? Like there were in total tonight: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 12 fights, so you could easily scrap 4 fights. You know, if you make it an eight fight card, it's definitely a lot easier to get through. 2 hours less of broadcast times, but I understand it because it's a way for people to continue to develop for the fighters to get a fight and get paid. But as far as like, you know, consuming and watching it, it's like, ugh. That's why I think they should go do more with the Dana White Contender Series. Because yeah, move on to the prelims, and Renya Nakamura, the Japanese, gets the round 1 TKO over the British English Nathan Fletcher. He hit him with a nasty body kick. I forgot what the term is. It's a special type of kick, but it's actually the toe that digs up into the liver or the stomach, into the body, leading with the toe to dig up like a little sucker punch. Not with the foot or the shin, it's the toe that digs up, and Fletcher, his body just shut down. I mean, I've been front kick taped into the body before, and like even that I just was like, oh shit. So I can't imagine like, you know, full powerful kicking that, but leading with the toes, digging in, you know, you're just going to drop. And yeah, Fletcher, I mean, it sucks to have to go out like that, but you know, the body, you can't, sometimes the body just, you know, your mind wants to keep going, but your body's like, nah, we got to shut down here. And well done to Yakamana. I believe he's a very well established wrestler. So yeah, he's definitely one to look out for. And I'm going to spend 10 seconds on this middleweight fight. Rodolfo Vieira versus Treson Gore. Very middleweighty, back and forth. Nothing too crazy. Don't waste your time. But Rodolfo gets the decision win. And yeah, we will never think back or mention that fight again. And we move on. Now, Nick Klein versus Andrei Pulyev. Nick Klein came out straight away looking for that takedown and grappling. He didn't want any business to keep this fight on the feet, but Pulyev, the Russian, did well to defend the takedowns to keep it standing on the cage, and just pretty much just 50-50 with the pummels and the Greco-Roman wrestling. And then, but Nick Klein, he just gassed himself out watching it. He was just using so much energy with the trying to wrestle him down and got no success with it, no damage. And then in the second round, Andre just came out and said, all right, we're doing none of that now. And does a couple of great body kicks and then finishes him. So went on to Pulyev, you know, tall middleweight guy, 6'4", I believe. and yeah, got the win over Nick Klein. And move on to Austin Bashi versus Joe Yanez. I had Bashi getting a performance of the night, and pretty sure I checked the tapes. I had him winning. Why he'd get a performance of the night, he'd just get a steamroll for a round one submission, and yeah, that's what he did. He instantly got him down and worked his way. He was smart too, with just peppering him with some shots, just to distract him to be able to get a dominant position, and yeah, then ends up submitting him. So well done, Austin Bashi. One to watch. Still very young. Second fight in the UFC. He lost his debut, but he's definitely one to watch in the featherweight division to see how he climbs the ranks, and he could be a future champion in 5 years' time or so. And then Rafael Esteban versus Felipe Bunez, just a flyweight back and forth fight. And what you think it was, Esteban missed weight by 4 pounds, gave up 25% of his purse, and yeah, executed kind of like Rosa. The game plan well was like, this guy wants to stand. He doesn't have takedown defense. Well, his takedown defense isn't that great, Brunez, as seen in this fight. And Esteban was like, I can just hold you down and just pepper you and win an easy 30-27. And that's what he did. So good fight IQ. Not when it comes to making weight. I think they're going to go a lot harder on these weight misses. Apparently, there's a cap now in the Nevada State Athletic Commission of a 25% purse or whatever. Miss weight, you don't fight. The guy who made weight gets show money and rebook him somewhere else. But if you miss weight, you shouldn't fight. Because, yeah, I'll do the next fight and we're going to rant about weight misses because, yeah, it's just ridiculous. Okay, so first fight of the night, which was a very fun fight. Piera Rodriguez versus Ketlin Souza. Souza gets a split decision. I thought she won 29-28 pretty clearly. Just a great back and forth fight. Oh, sorry. Piera Rodriguez got the split decision win. I thought she won the last 2 rounds. I thought Souza edged out the first round. But yeah, that was a great knees by Rodriguez in the clinch. I think that's what won her this fight. Yeah, it was a great women's strawweight fight. Good work in the clinch by Rodriguez. Souza has good hands as well. They both took good shots. So yeah, great strawweight fight. And yeah, I'll be tuning in to see when these girls fight again because yeah, it was good. Better than definitely a lot better than some other fights we've seen over the time. Yeah, so that's Vegas 108. We keep pushing through this Apex card because we're back again there next week. Roman Dolidze versus Fluffy Hernandez. Good main event, but yeah, we're back on the grind next week. Yeah, overall, yeah, it went as expected. Main event, I was a little shocked how quick that ended and how the performance Park showed. I was a little, yeah, shocked. I thought he was going to put up a much more of a fight for sure. And yeah, so there were a few things I wanted to get to just about, the refereeing as a whole. Where are we going with this sport with the way things are handled in the UFC? Because there's so many flags that should be thrown. Pause. Flag on the play, and we just ignore it. Essentially, UFC there's flags that get thrown, or should the flags thrown in NFL, the yellow flag for a foul, and then they review it and go, okay, holding or pass interference, and they look at it. It's like in UFC, a flag gets thrown and they just completely ignore it. For example, fence grabs. It's right there in front of them. The flag's thrown I mean, I guess their flag throws are essentially them going, "Don't grab the cage, don't grab the cage," and it's like, okay, now you're supposed to penalize him for grabbing the cage. The flag's thrown. Now you make the now you penalize because you threw the flag for which was thrown for the foul. NFL, they throw the flag, they go and say why it's what the penalty, they go and say what the penalty is, holding, pass interference, false start, and then they get, penalized, 5 yard penalty, 10 yard penalty for or against one of the, well, so like, I guess pass interference, if the pass is 10 yards ahead, they take it to the spot where the interference happens, 10, 20, 15. I think holding is 10 yards. So say if the offensive tackle holds against the defensive guy trying to get to the quarterback, you get it. I think it's 10 yard penalty, and the flag's thrown. UFC flags are thrown and nothing's done with it. Um, and what I mean by flag thrown in UFC, they yell out, "Don't grab the cage, don't hold the glove, don't grab the pants." I mean, during these fights, it happens all the time, and nothing's done. And I keep saying, cheating is essentially encouraged in this sport. And there's no man better, or who has done that better, is John Jones. And I bring his name up because I listened to Dominic Reyes on Kamaru Usman and Henry Cejudo's podcast, Pound for Pound. I listened to that the other day. You should go listen to it. Great podcast. And Dominic Reyes, in the podcast, was saying he got OSP in to help him, who also fought John Jones, talking about how dirty he is with the fingers. He would just put them in your face because he doesn't get in trouble for it. They warn him, but don't do anything about it. And he was saying, like, just if he puts him there, just punch him down, punch Jones's fingers down. In the fight, I saw it. I did see one occasion where it was real clear he did it. Sometimes, maybe he just jabs at it, but there was one time he just had John Jones was just chucking his fingers out there. He just bang. And it was like a real big moment. But during that fight, I think it was Dan Mergliati, butchered that last name, was refereeing, and probably gave him about 5 warnings throughout the fight about, fingers. He did briefly poke Reyes in the eye at the start, but like, yeah, like eye pokes are one thing with like warnings, and then you got fence grabs and fingers in the, getting in the gloves. Um, yeah, like it's just insanity at this point. You see it every time, and they're consistent in being consistently shit at not enforcing the rules. I'll give them that. Consistent in being consistently shit at not enforcing the rules. And I feel like it's because the whole thing with the ref is just to make it a fair fight. And yeah, what's the point of having these points or rules and the system of it all when you don't enforce it? And fighters are getting away with it. There's so many times the fighters, have the body lock or got him against the cage around the back, and they can hide their hands and grip the fence and stuff. And I'm sure, a lot of MMA fighters would be able to tell you little tricks and of the trade that they do to get around and to doing the fence grabs when the refs on the blind side with when they got their backs against the cage, and then on the open side where the hands are, and they can do it there. But yeah, like, and just rewatching that John Jones fight was just like, you seen it then, and that was back in 2020, but like, and then you're still seeing it now, but it's always been going on, and yeah, pretty frustrating to watch. Like what? Because apparently in the back they say, like, if you have to, it's a foul. Like they get like a warning. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. Because yeah, like the Henry Cejudo fight against Song Yudong early this year at UFC Seattle, he gets fouled brutally, but it's like that doesn't constitute a warning. It's like it's a foul. You take a point away. There's the flag. Flag on the play. Now give him the penalty. And yeah, like it wasn't bad tonight, but just you just hear the little warnings and you're just like, what are we doing here? And yeah, that moves on to the scoring system. So in the main event, the first round was scored a 10-9, and it's like our scoring system in MMA is taken from another sport in boxing. Make that make sense. Um, Obviously, it's the closest thing to MMA as far as like, you got rounds and damage, and but they just took the 10-point scoring system from boxing and now they're trying to apply it where you've got people also kneeing, kicking, wrestling, elbowing. Like, how do you apply the same scoring system to a completely where there's a whole other element of strikes involved? Boxing is just two paws, two elements. It's just two things that you got to score off other punches. MMA, you got the eight limbs of Muay Thai, but you can you can add in. You got shoulders you're dealing with. Look at McGregor versus Cowboy Cerrone. He busted up his nose, face with the shoulder, and then you got the wrestling, the ground control, you on people just grinding elbows in their face on the ground. Um, yeah, just the scoring system needs needs a bit of a rehaul, I think, because yeah, that first round was a 10-9, but he knocked down Park and then controlled him for the 4 other minutes. You could say, the damage wasn't insane, wasn't huge, which I can see. Like, Park came out of that with, didn't really break a sweat, but like, if you're scoring that at 10-9, and then you go back and watch other fights where there's like 10 less than 10 significant strikes landed in a whole round between two fighters and say, yeah, that's also scored the same, but like nothing happened. Whereas this round, the guy gets dropped and completely dominated on the ground for the rest of the round, but you're going to score that the same as someone, but you're going to score that the same as another fight where they completely don't even score any damage or control time. So like, yeah, it's very much, where they're like apples. Yeah, it's just frustrating because yeah, like I could see why it couldn't be a 10-8 round because it just wasn't. He wasn't on his deathbed coming out of that round, which is just stupid. Like it was significant in boxing. You get dropped 10-8 instantly. It was just like, just couldn't believe, just can't believe where we're at with the UFC in this scoring system, and we're just going to continue seeing, yeah, bad cards because hindsight is 2020 with this of like, well, it didn't go the distance, so like it doesn't matter that it wasn't a 10-8, but obviously because he got finished, like, but what if it did go the distance? Like hindsight is 2020, undisputed, undefeated. Hindsight's never wrong. But what if is up there too? What if it did go to a decision, close fight, and say Park comes out and what if it's undefeated too? It's the challenger comes up, gets a in round two. Park comes out and just kind of kickboxes his way to a 10-8, doesn't do much damage, but just kind of lands a bit more. There's no takedowns involved, but you're going to score that the same as the first round? You're going to score that the same as the first round as getting dropped and then controlled for 4 minutes straight, but then you come out the next round and pitter patter. This is what if pitter patter for round two, get a few leg kicks and a jab, and that's it. But you're gonna score that at 10-8 as well. Yeah, that's where a lot of frustration comes about. Where when you start to compare cards and like it's just it's not a 10, it's a 10-8. That's a 10-9. A significant moment happened in the fight. He doesn't have to be almost knocked out or on his deathbed to give it a 10-8. Just give it a 10-8. So he got dropped in control, dominated. Um, so yeah, that's my quarrel with the scoring system. There's plenty more. We can go on all day about it, but let me know your thoughts about the UFC scoring system. What should be done? What should be changed? Do you agree that first round was a 10-8 in the Tattoo Tara fight? Yeah, let me know in the comments, because we got to really start making some noise with it, because this sport is $1 billion sport and we're not seeing much change as far as the scoring system around it. Also, what I'm about to get into with the weight cutting, there's no consequences for incompetency. Where is the consequence for being incompetent and, you know, causing fouls, and, you're pretty much getting rewarded for incompetence in MMA. You don't get that in other sports a lot. Um, yeah, I'm just trying to think off the top of my head where you get rewarded for incompetence. Like, first thing comes for rugby league. You got to get back 10 meters every time. And if you're too unfit, if you're too, you know, incompetent to get back because you're tired, it's a penalty against your team. Um, if you're playing the ball and you knock it on due to incompetent making an error, you get you don't get the ball. It's a changeover. Or if you do a high tackle due to poor tackle technique, you get penalized for that. Soccer, you do a sliding tackle, that's a foul, you get penalized. You don't get a warning for slide tackling someone's shin off his fucking leg, and they go, oh, just a warning this time. Happens again. No, you give the penalty, and then you get yellow cards, red cards. Yeah, what is a warning? What defines a warning in UFC? I think, yeah, yeah, just tough scenes. Okay, okay. So now with the Estevan weight miss, weight cutting is sanctioned cheating. I don't think there should be no excuse for missing weight. Like, move up a weight class. If you're supposed to weigh in, he was supposed to weigh in at 125, so you get a pound for non-championship fights, to 126, so he got 129. So yeah, misses it by 4 pounds, and it's like there's no excuse. If you're missing weight, you shouldn't be fighting in that weight division. The fact, yeah, it's just sanctioned cheating, and there should be no excuses for missing weight, because that means you're trying to cheat and pretend to be, because they're literally weighing 125 pounds for like 30 minutes, an hour tops. And then you're saying, oh yeah, this is a flyweight bout because they were weighing that weight for 1 hour. Like, no, they go in there 15 pounds heavier. And it's just like, so there shouldn't be any excuse. Like, if you get caught, or if you don't make weight, you've obviously cheated, got caught, like you've cheated, you didn't make it, so now you don't fight, and your show money gets, the guy who made weight obviously is still cheating as well, but they're all doing it because they have to. But like, yeah, weight misses, I got no, Esteban, he went on to win that fight, purse taken away a bit, but he still gets his win and show money. And yeah, it's just poor form from our sport, really. You don't see a lot of weight misses in boxing, obviously because there's more weight classes, but yeah, weight missing isn't too, again, these guys don't take too big of a punishment to miss weight. Esteban still got to show up, lost a few grand, whatever it may be, but he still got to show up, win a fight, and the other guy who did the professional and the right thing, yeah, only gets, he gets his show money and a bit of, 25% cut of the other guy's show money. So, yeah. Um, yeah, and also another topic is Martin Badai, who fought last week. He's 7-1 in the UFC. He just got cut from the UFC. Let me just confirm what his record was in the UFC. So he won last week against Pichecha, 3-round fight. Not the funnest fight, but you know, he was versing a black belt jiu-jitsu guy, hyped for his UFC debut. Yeah, Badeo, 7-1, gets cut from the UFC. He was ranked number 12 and gets cut, and it's like, yeah, this heavyweight division is going downhill. I mean, shout out to the entertaining Tai Tuivasa, Western Sydney's best. He's on, you know, I think he's 8-8 in the UFC, Tai Tuivasa. But because he's so entertaining and has great moments, he was literally one fight away. If he had to beat Cyril Gane at UFC Paris, he would have fought John Jones potentially. Like that's insane. But Tai Tuivasa 8-8 in the UFC and hasn't fought since last year, August. Lost that split decision against Rosenstrike. Is still in the UFC. And Martin Buday, 7-1 in the UFC, gets cut. That just explains the UFC. Because I know they're just going to get, in the Dana White Contender Series, more heavyweights. And I think, you know, he's 7-1 in the UFC. You know, they're going to have to up his contract after those 8 fights. They're going to have to re-up him to something even more. And they're just like, we can just save money and just sign on, you know, heavyweights coming off the regional scene who are unfortunately just going to put on, I guess, the same entertainment factor. Like you saw Derek Lewis and Teixeira. Teixeira fought once in the UFC coming off Dana White Contender Series and then got a main event slot. So yeah, what are we doing here in the UFC? What are we doing? It's, you know, it's very much make it up as they go because it's still a young sport. But yeah, as fans, you know, it's frustrating when you see time and time again the same incompetency and errors happen, and just, you know, people being treated unfairly. And yeah, it's a bit, yeah, dark side of the sport, I guess. But yeah, we'll end it there. UFC Vegas 108 in the books. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Comment below. Am I being completely too harsh on the UFC right now? But on a positive note, we got those last 3 fights that delivered. It was insane. And yeah, let me know if that was a 10-8 in the first round of the Tatsu Tara fight. Let me know if it was a 10-8 or a 10-9 if you agree with me. But yeah, appreciate the support. 43 of the best subscribers right now we have. So yeah, just going to keep going. Love, you know, expressing, you know, my takes and opinions on this. And yeah, be sure to jump on over to Spotify if you just want to listen while you're at the gym or on your walk or driving, because I do chuck it up on Spotify as well. But yeah, thanks guys, and I'll see you in the Roman Dolidze versus Hernandez preview. But yeah, enjoy the rest of your week. Catch you later.